In the mountains of Afghanistan, where the air is so thin that bullets lose their bite and even eagles struggle to soar, a single gunshot echoed across 7.2 kilometers of hostile terrain. The target dropped instantly.
What happened next defied every law of physics, every military manual, and every record in the history of warfare. The shot was so impossible that when the after-action report landed on desks in Washington, 3 different generals threw it in the trash, convinced it was a typo.
The distance was beyond what any rifle should achieve. The conditions were impossible. The shooter shouldn't have existed, but someone caught it on camera.
For 72 hours, the footage circulated through classified channels, sparking heated debates in Pentagon war rooms. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, every trace of evidence vanished. The video was deleted. The reports were classified beyond recognition. The shooter's identity was scrubbed from all records. The military brass had a problem.
They had witnessed the impossible, and they couldn't explain it. In a world where every bullet is tracked, every mission recorded, and every soldier accounted for, someone had achieved what should have been impossible and then disappeared without a trace. This is the story of that shot, the mysterious marksman who made it, and the shocking reason why the most extraordinary military achievement in modern history was buried deeper than state secrets. What you're about to read challenges everything you think you know about the limits of human ability and the lengths powerful people will go to keep certain truths hidden. The truth, as they say, is stranger than fiction, and sometimes it's far more dangerous.
The morning sun painted the Hindu Kush mountains in shades of amber and gold when Captain Marcus Chen first spotted the impossible position. Through his field glasses, he could barely make out the rocky outcrop that jutted from the mountainside like a broken tooth. At 4,200 meters above sea level, the air was so thin that his lungs burned with every breath, and the cold cut through his tactical gear like invisible knives.
"Sir, there's no way anyone could make a shot from up there," Sergeant Rodriguez whispered, his breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. "That's got to be 7 kilometers, maybe more." Chen adjusted his binoculars and felt his stomach drop.
The intelligence reports had been clear about enemy sniper activity in the region, but this position defied military logic. Whoever was up there had somehow carried heavy equipment through terrain that would challenge an Olympic mountaineer, all while avoiding satellite detection and aerial surveillance. The forward operating base buzzed with nervous energy. For 3 days, coalition patrols had been taking precision fire from an unknown location. Each shot was surgical, each target carefully selected. The enemy sniper wasn't trying to rack up kills. He was sending a message. He could reach anyone, anywhere, at any time. Lieutenant Sarah Kim spread the tactical maps across the makeshift table in the command tent. Her fingers traced elevation lines and marked known enemy positions with red pens. The ballistics team ran the numbers twice, she said, her voice tight with concern.
Based on the bullet trajectories and impact angles, the shots are coming from grid reference 41 SQR 123456 7890. That puts the shooter at approximately 7,200 meters from the last confirmed hit. Colonel James Morrison, a man whose weathered face had seen 3 tours in Afghanistan, leaned over the map. His calloused finger tapped the suspected position. "That's impossible. That range, with that altitude and wind conditions, even our best snipers would be shooting prayers, not precision rounds."
Chen had been thinking the same thing. He had trained with some of the finest marksmen in the military, including graduates from the Marine Scout Sniper School and Army Sniper School. The longest confirmed sniper kill in military history was 3,540 meters, achieved by a Canadian Forces sniper in Iraq. This mysterious shooter was claiming shots at more than double that distance.
"Maybe it's multiple shooters," suggested Sergeant First Class Williams, the unit's communications specialist. "Coordinated fire from different positions to make it look like one impossible shot." Morrison shook his head.
The ballistic signature is consistent. Same rifle, same ammunition, same firing pattern.
This is one shooter, and he's making shots that shouldn't be possible with current technology. The conversation was interrupted by the sharp crack of incoming fire.
Everyone dove for cover as a heavy caliber round slammed into the sandbag wall, just meters from where they stood. The sound echoed across the valley like thunder, and then everything went silent. Chen's radio crackled to life. "Base, this is Overwatch 7. I've got eyes on the muzzle flash. Bearing 047, range. Jesus Christ, range 7,200 meters and climbing." The confirmation sent chills through everyone in the tent. Not only was someone shooting from an impossible distance, but they were doing it with surgical precision while positioned at an altitude that would make most people dizzy just from standing up too quickly. Kim pulled out her laptop and began running atmospheric calculations. At 4,200 meters elevation, air density is about 60% of sea level. Temperature differential between the valley floor and mountain peak could be 20 degrees Celsius. Wind patterns at that altitude are completely unpredictable. She paused, staring at her screen in disbelief. For a shot at that range, under those conditions, the bullet would need to arc almost 30 meters above the target to compensate for gravity drop. The flight time would be over 8 seconds. That means the shooter has to calculate not just where the target is, but where the target will be 8 seconds later. Morrison felt a cold knot forming in his stomach. 30 years of military experience had taught him to recognize when he was facing something beyond normal parameters. This wasn't just expert marksmanship, this was something else entirely. The radio erupted again. All units, we have casualties at checkpoint Delta. Single shot, headshot, distance unknown. Repeat, we have a confirmed kill at checkpoint Delta. Chen grabbed his binoculars and focused on the distant checkpoint. Through the haze and heat shimmer, he could see soldiers taking cover behind concrete barriers. The shot had come from a different angle entirely, which meant either the sniper had moved to a new position with impossible speed, or there was something they weren't understanding about the situation. Pull up the satellite imagery, Morrison ordered. I want every square meter of that mountain range analyzed for possible shooting positions. Kim's fingers flew across her keyboard as she accessed real-time satellite feeds. The images showed nothing but empty rock and snow-covered peaks. No heat signatures, no movement, no evidence of human presence anywhere in the suspected area. Sir, I'm not seeing anything. Either this guy has masking technology we don't know about, or he's shooting from inside a cave system we haven't mapped. The implications were troubling. The region was supposed to be under complete surveillance. Drones patrolled the skies around the clock, satellites monitored every square kilometer, and ground sensors detected the smallest vibrations. Yet, somehow, an enemy sniper was operating with complete impunity from a position that shouldn't exist. Williams adjusted his communication equipment and tried to raise the intelligence unit at Bodrum Airfield. Phoenix Base, this is Mountain Lion 6. Request immediate analysis of grid reference 41 SQR 12345 67890. We need geological surveys, cave mapping, and enhanced satellite surveillance of the target area. The response came back within minutes, but it wasn't what they expected. Mountain Lion 6, Phoenix Base. Negative on your request. That grid reference is classified above your clearance level. Maintain current positions and await further instructions. Morrison and Chen exchanged glances. In 30 combined years of military service, neither had ever been denied geological survey data for an active combat zone. The classification suggested that someone higher up the chain of command knew more about their mysterious sniper than they were sharing. As the sun began to set behind the mountain peaks, casting long shadows across the valley floor, another shot rang out across the thin mountain air. This time, the target was a communication antenna array 688 meters from the suspected sniper position. The precision shot severed the main transmission line with surgical accuracy, cutting off communication with 3 forward patrol units. Chen watched the distant antenna topple and felt a chill that had nothing to do with the mountain air. Whoever was up there wasn't just demonstrating impossible marksmanship. They were showing intimate knowledge of coalition communication systems and infrastructure. This was beginning to feel less like random sniper attacks and more like a carefully orchestrated psychological operation. The pieces of the puzzle were forming a picture that no one wanted to see. An enemy sniper operating at impossible range with impossible accuracy, from a position that couldn't be detected by the most advanced surveillance technology in the world. And somewhere in the military hierarchy, people with very high security clearances were working very hard to keep certain information classified. As darkness settled over the Hindu Kush Mountains and the temperature dropped below freezing, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that they were facing something far more dangerous than a skilled enemy marksman. They were confronting the impossible, and the impossible had a habit of changing all the rules. 300 kilometers away in a climate-controlled bunker beneath Bagram Airfield, Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at data that made no sense. As the military's leading ballistics expert and a former MIT professor, she had analyzed thousands of sniper incidents across multiple theaters of operation. What she was looking at on her computer screen defied every law of physics she understood. Run the calculations again, she told her assistant, Corporal Jenkins, whose computer science degree from Stanford made him the unit's go-to person for complex data analysis. There has to be an error in the atmospheric modeling. Jenkins had already run the calculations 6 times, adjusting for every variable he could think of. Air density, temperature gradients, Coriolis effect, wind patterns, humidity levels, and even the rotation of the Earth. Every time the numbers came back the same. The shots being reported from the Hindu Kush were physically impossible with any known rifle system. Ma'am, I've checked everything twice. Even if we assume perfect conditions, no wind, no atmospheric interference, and a rifle that could maintain accuracy beyond its design parameters, the maximum theoretical range for the reported caliber would be 4,800 meters. We're looking at confirmed hits at distances exceeding 7,000 meters.
Vasquez had spent her career studying the limits of long-range ballistics. She understood projectile physics better than almost anyone in the military. A bullet fired from a rifle doesn't fly in a straight line. It follows a parabolic arc, losing velocity due to air resistance, dropping due to gravity, and drifting due to wind and atmospheric conditions. At extreme ranges, these factors don't just complicate the shot. They make it impossible. Her secure phone rang with a distinctive tone that indicated a call from the Pentagon. The voice on the other end belonged to General Patricia Hawkins, a woman whose reputation for cutting through bureaucratic nonsense was legendary in military circles. Dr. Half-a-State Doctors. Vasquez, I need your assessment of the Afghanistan situation. How confident are you in the reported distances? General, the ballistic evidence is conclusive. We have multiple impact sites with consistent trajectories pointing to a single source location. The trigonometry is solid. The measurements are verified. Someone is making shots from 7,200 meters with precision that exceeds anything in our technical manuals. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. And your professional opinion on how this is possible? Vasquez chose her words carefully. General, with current technology and known ammunition types, it shouldn't be possible. Either our intelligence about the enemy's capabilities is severely outdated, or we're dealing with technology that doesn't exist in any military handbook. I was afraid you were going to say that. Dr. Vasquez, I'm upgrading your security clearance to TS/Psi level. You'll receive new orders within the hour. This conversation never happened. The line went dead, leaving Vasquez staring at her phone with growing unease. In 20 years of military service, she had never seen a ballistics investigation classified at the top secret/sensitive compartmented information level. That classification was reserved for intelligence operations involving foreign nuclear capabilities and advanced weapons systems. Jenkins looked up from his computer screen with an expression of confusion. Ma'am, I'm getting some weird readings from the seismic sensors in the target area. The shockwave patterns don't match the expected signature for standard ammunition. Vasquez moved to his workstation and examined the seismic data. Every bullet creates a small earthquake when it impacts the ground, and the pattern of those vibrations could reveal information about the projectile's mass, velocity, and composition. What she saw on the screen made her blood run cold. These readings suggest a projectile traveling at nearly 1,200 meters per second at impact, she said, double-checking the calculations. That's impossible. Even the most powerful rifle cartridges lose significant velocity over extreme distances. By 7,000 meters, a standard .50 caliber round would be traveling maybe 400 meters per second, if it could even reach that distance. Jenkins pulled up comparative data from previous ballistics investigations. Ma'am, these impact velocities are consistent with shots fired from much closer range, maybe 800 to 1,000 meters. But the trajectory analysis clearly shows the shots originating from the mountain position. The contradiction was troubling. Either their distance calculations were wrong, which seemed unlikely given the precision of their surveying equipment, or they were dealing with ammunition that maintained impossible velocity over extreme distances. Vasquez's computer chimed with an incoming encrypted message. Her new orders were brief and deeply classified. She was being transferred immediately to a joint task force investigating advanced enemy capabilities. The mission details were so highly classified that she would only receive them after arriving at an undisclosed location. As she prepared to leave Bagram, Vasquez couldn't shake the feeling that she was being pulled into something much larger than a ballistics investigation. The military didn't create joint task forces for standard enemy sniper activity. They created them for threats that could change the fundamental balance of power. Her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. The shots are just the beginning. Some secrets are worth killing for. Before she could respond or trace the message, her phone's screen went blank. When she tried to restart it, the device was completely dead, as if someone had remotely fried its circuits. Meanwhile, back in the Hindu Kush Mountains, Captain Chen was dealing with his own set of impossible circumstances. The mysterious sniper had struck again, this time taking out a drone surveillance unit from an estimated range of 7,400 meters. The shot had been so precise that it severed the drone's main rotor assembly without damaging the fuselage, causing it to crash land relatively intact. When the recovery team reached the crashed drone, they made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the intelligence community.
The projectile that brought down the aircraft wasn't standard ammunition.
It was a small explosive device roughly the size of a rifle bullet that had been programmed to detonate at a specific altitude and distance from the target. "This isn't a bullet," reported Chief Warrant Officer Thompson, the unit's explosive ordnance disposal specialist.
"This is a miniaturized guided munition. The technology required to build something like this doesn't exist outside of major defense contractors."
Chen examined the fragments under a magnifying glass. The metalwork was precise, almost artistic in its craftsmanship.
More troubling was the fact that the explosive compound was completely unknown to military databases.
Chemical analysis revealed a formula that was both more powerful and more stable than anything in current military arsenals. The intelligence implications were staggering.
Someone was not only making impossible shots from impossible distances, they were doing it with technology that suggested access to advanced military research and development programs. This wasn't just superior marksmanship. This was superior technology deployed by someone with intimate knowledge of coalition operations and capabilities.
Colonel Morrison called an emergency briefing with all senior staff. The conference room was crowded with intelligence officers, communications specialists, and tactical planners, all trying to make sense of an enemy that seemed to exist outside the normal parameters of warfare.
"Gentlemen, ladies, what we're facing is no longer a conventional sniper threat," Morrison began. "Intelligence analysis suggests we're dealing with an adversary possessing technology that exceeds our current capabilities.
The enemy knows our positions, our equipment, our communication frequencies, and our tactical procedures with precision that suggests either extensive reconnaissance or access to classified information." Lieutenant Kim raised her hand. "Sir, what about the possibility that this is a test of our own advanced weapons systems? Some kind of classified military exercise that we weren't briefed about?" Morrison had considered that possibility, but the targeting pattern didn't support it. Military exercises didn't typically involve shooting at actual coalition forces with live ammunition. More importantly, he had checked with every advanced weapons program in the Pentagon database, and none of them were conducting operations in his area of responsibility. "Negative on the friendly fire theory," he replied. "This is definitely hostile action. The question is whether we're dealing with an enemy who has acquired advanced technology or developed it independently." The briefing was interrupted by an urgent communication from Bagram Airfield. The voice of General Hawkins cut through the static with crisp authority. "Mountain Lion 6, this is Phoenix Command. You are ordered to cease all reconnaissance activities in grid reference 41S, QR 12345-67890. Establish a defensive perimeter at your current location and await extraction. This is a direct order from the Joint Chiefs of Staff." Morrison felt his jaw drop. Orders from the Joint Chiefs of Staff didn't come through normal channels for routine combat operations. This level of command intervention suggested that their mysterious sniper situation had attracted attention at the highest levels of the Pentagon. "Phoenix Command, Mountain Lion 6.
Request clarification on the nature of the threat assessment. Mountain Lion 6. Classification level prevents detailed briefing. Be advised that the target area is now designated as a restricted operations zone. Any unauthorized personnel approaching within 10 kilometers of the specified coordinates will be considered hostile." The implications hit Morrison like a physical blow. Not only were they being ordered to retreat from an enemy they couldn't identify or locate, but the entire mountain region was being classified as restricted. That level of classification was typically reserved for areas containing weapons of mass destruction or advanced military technology. As the sun set over the Hindu Kush Mountains for another night, Chen stood at the perimeter of their defensive position and watched the distant peaks through his night vision equipment. Somewhere up there, in a location that couldn't be detected by satellite surveillance, someone with impossible technology was demonstrating capabilities that challenged everything the military thought it knew about modern warfare. What troubled him most wasn't just the impossible shots or the advanced technology. It was the growing realization that someone in the Pentagon knew exactly what they were dealing with and had decided that the truth was too dangerous to share with the people whose lives were on the line. In a sterile conference room buried 3 levels beneath the Pentagon, 5 people sat around a polished table that reflected the glow of multiple computer screens. The meeting had no official record, no scheduled participants, and no paper trail. According to all government databases, it was never happening. General Patricia Hawkins opened the folder marked with classification levels that existed only in the most sensitive military operations. The photographs inside showed a man whose very existence challenged everything the military thought it knew about human capabilities. "Gentlemen, meet subject designation Romeo 7, she said, sliding the photos across the table. "Real name, Dr.
Michael Reeves, former professor of theoretical physics at MIT, former sniper instructor at Fort Benning, and, according to our official records, deceased as of March 15, 2018. The other attendees examined the photographs in silence. Dr. Vasquez, still adjusting to her new security clearance, studied the image of a man in his early 40s with intense blue eyes and prematurely gray hair. CIA Deputy Director Robert Sterling leaned back in his chair with the expression of someone who had seen too many impossible things become real. Defense Intelligence Agency analyst Colonel Martinez flipped through background documents that painted a picture of a man who had walked away from a promising career to pursue research that most scientists considered fantasy. The problem, continued General Hawkins, is that Dr. Reeves died in a mountaineering accident in Nepal 5 years ago. His body was recovered, DNA was confirmed, and he was buried with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery. Yet our surveillance footage from the Hindu Kush shows a man who matches his physical description making shots that align perfectly with theoretical ballistics models he published in classified research papers. Sterling opened his own folder, revealing surveillance photographs taken from extreme distance with telephoto lenses. These images were captured by a reconnaissance satellite during a brief window when cloud cover lifted from the target area. The individual was exposed for exactly 17 seconds before disappearing into what appears to be a cave system that doesn't show up on any geological survey.
Dr. Vasquez studied the surveillance photos with growing amazement.
The figure was positioned behind what looked like a rifle, but the weapon appeared to be unlike anything in current military inventories. The barrel was longer and thicker than standard sniper rifles, and there appeared to be additional equipment attached to the scope system that she couldn't identify. "The ballistics analysis confirms our worst fears," she said. "The shots being made from that position require technology that shouldn't exist."
The projectiles are maintaining velocity over distances that violate everything we understand about atmospheric physics. Either this individual has access to advanced military technology that's beyond our current capabilities, or he's developed something entirely new.
Colonel Martinez spread out a timeline of events that began 3 years earlier. The first unusual reports started coming in from different theaters of operation. Single shots from impossible distances targeting specific equipment rather than personnel, always followed by complete disappearance of the shooter.
Syria, Iraq, Ukraine, Somalia, and now Afghanistan. The pattern suggests a single individual moving between conflict zones and demonstrating capabilities that grow more advanced with each incident. The implications were deeply troubling. A single person with advanced ballistics technology could alter the balance of power in any conflict. More concerning was the targeting pattern, which suggested intimate knowledge of coalition operations and equipment vulnerabilities. Sterling activated a secure video connection to a facility whose location was so classified that even the people in the room weren't authorized to know where it was.
The screen displayed Dr. Amanda Chen, a geneticist whose work on human enhancement programs was hidden behind layers of classification that most Pentagon officials didn't know existed.
Dr. Chen, please brief the committee on Project Lazarus. The woman on the screen appeared uncomfortable discussing information that was classified beyond top secret. Project Lazarus was initiated in 2015 to explore the theoretical limits of human performance enhancement. The research focused on combining advanced training techniques with pharmaceutical enhancement and technological augmentation to create soldiers capable of operating beyond normal human parameters.
She paused, clearly reluctant to continue.
Dr. Michael Reeves was one of our primary research subjects.
His combination of advanced education, military training, and psychological profile made him an ideal candidate for experimental enhancement procedures. General Hawkins leaned forward.
Dr. Chen, are you saying that the man we buried at Arlington Cemetery was not actually dead? I'm saying that the man you buried was a clone created from Dr. Reeves' DNA.
The real Dr. Reeves underwent experimental procedures that enhanced his cognitive processing, reaction time, and physical capabilities beyond normal human limits. When he discovered the full scope of what was being done to him, he disappeared from the program with technology and knowledge that we've been trying to recover ever since. The room fell silent as the implications sank in.
The United States military had created a superhuman soldier, lost control of him, and then covered up his existence by staging his death and burying a clone. Now that same enhanced individual was operating in multiple theaters of war with technology that made him virtually unstoppable.
Dr. Vasquez felt her worldview crumbling as she processed this information. You're telling me that this man has been enhanced to the point where he can make shots that violate the laws of physics? Dr. Chen shook her head.
He's not violating physical laws. He's operating at the extreme edge of what those laws allow. The enhancement procedures improved his cognitive processing speed, allowing him to perform ballistic calculations in real time that would normally require computers.
His reaction time and fine motor control were enhanced to allow precision that approaches mechanical accuracy. Combined with experimental ammunition and rifle modifications, he can achieve performance that appears impossible but is actually just operating at the theoretical maximum of human capability. Sterling pulled out classified files from the CIA's archives on superhuman enhancement programs. What Dr. Chen isn't mentioning is that Project Lazarus was shut down after multiple subjects suffered psychological breaks and became uncontrollable. Dr. Reeves was the only subject who maintained his sanity while retaining the enhanced capabilities. Colonel Martinez reviewed combat reports from the affected regions. His targeting pattern suggests he's not acting randomly. Every shot has been calculated to send a specific message. He's demonstrating that he can reach any target anywhere at any time. He's not trying to win wars. He's trying to prove that conventional military thinking is obsolete. The secure video screen flickered as Dr. Chen prepared to end the connection.
There's something else you need to know about Dr. Reeves.
Before his enhancement, he published theoretical papers about the future of warfare and the ethical implications of human enhancement technology. He believed that nations with advanced enhancement capabilities would eventually dominate those without them, leading to a new kind of arms race that would make nuclear weapons seem primitive by comparison.
She paused, her expression grave. He may be operating under the belief that he's preventing a future war by demonstrating the capabilities that enhanced soldiers could possess.
In his mind, he may think he's saving the world by showing how dangerous the technology can be. General Hawkins closed the classified folders and looked around the table at faces that reflected the same mixture of amazement and fear she was feeling.
Gentlemen, we have a situation that goes beyond military doctrine. We have created an individual whose capabilities exceed anything in our contingency planning, and he's operating with technology and knowledge that could change the fundamental nature of warfare. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Hindu Kush region. Captain Chen's voice crackled through the secure radio system with barely controlled excitement.
Phoenix Command, this is Mountain Lion 6. The target has made direct communication with our position.
He's requesting a face-to-face meeting with military leadership to discuss terms for ending hostilities. He claims to have information about future threats that exceed current classified capabilities. Everyone in the Pentagon conference room exchanged glances that reflected the same thought. The enhanced soldier they had created and lost was now offering to negotiate.
The question was whether they were dealing with a man who had retained his sanity and patriotic loyalties, or someone whose enhanced capabilities had come at the cost of his fundamental humanity. Sterling activated the communication system. Mountain Lion 6, what exactly did the target communicate, and how did he reach your position? Phoenix Command, he somehow accessed our secure communication frequency. The message came through our encrypted radio system, which should be impossible without classified codes and equipment. He knows our position, our strength, and apparently our mission parameters. He's offering to demonstrate technology that he claims will revolutionize warfare, but only if he can discuss it with decision-makers who have the authority to understand the implications.
General Hawkins felt a chill run down her spine. The enhanced soldier wasn't just demonstrating impossible marksmanship. He was showing intimate knowledge of military operations that suggested access to classified information systems. If his cognitive enhancements extended to cyber capabilities, he could potentially access any computer system in the military network. Mountain Lion 6, acknowledge his communication but take no action until further orders. We need time to evaluate the situation and determine appropriate response protocols. As the secure communications ended, everyone in the room understood that they were facing a decision that would have implications far beyond the immediate tactical situation.
They had to decide whether to trust an enhanced individual whose capabilities exceeded their ability to control, or treat him as a threat that needed to be eliminated before he could share his knowledge and technology with hostile forces. The man who didn't officially exist had made himself impossible to ignore.
The meeting point was chosen with calculated precision. A flat plateau at 3,800 meters elevation. Far enough from populated areas to ensure privacy but accessible enough for military personnel to reach with proper equipment. Dr. Michael Reeves had specified the exact coordinates, time, and even the number of people who could attend. His enhanced capabilities apparently extended to tactical planning that anticipated every possible military response. General Hawkins stood at the edge of the plateau, her breath forming small clouds in the thin mountain air. Beside her, Colonel Morrison and Dr. Vasquez checked their recording equipment for the third time.
The meeting was being documented with technology that could capture audio and video at frequencies beyond normal human perception, just in case Reeves had enhanced sensory capabilities that matched his other improvements. They waited in the designated location for exactly 17 minutes before a figure emerged from terrain that should have provided no concealment. Reeves appeared to materialize from empty air, moving with fluid precision that suggested awareness of every rock, shadow, and wind current in the area. His movement was so controlled that he seemed to float across the rough ground without disturbing a single loose stone. He was exactly as the surveillance photos had shown, but seeing him in person revealed details that images couldn't capture. His eyes moved constantly, processing information with mechanical efficiency.
His stance and posture suggested someone who was aware of every possible threat within a radius that normal humans couldn't even perceive. Most unsettling was the way he seemed to exist in complete harmony with the harsh mountain environment, as if the altitude and cold affected him no more than a gentle breeze.
"General Hawkins," he said, his voice carrying easily across the distance despite the wind. "Thank you for accepting my invitation. I apologize for the dramatic circumstances, but I needed to ensure that you understood the seriousness of the situation before we spoke." His rifle was unlike anything in standard military inventories. The barrel was longer and more precisely machined than conventional weapons, with modifications that Dr. Vasquez couldn't identify even with her extensive knowledge of ballistics technology.
The scope system appeared to incorporate electronic components that suggested advanced computational capabilities built directly into the weapon. Dr.
"Reeves," General Hawkins replied, keeping her voice steady despite the surreal nature of addressing a man who was supposed to be dead. "Your demonstration of capabilities has certainly gotten our attention. The question is what you want to accomplish with this meeting." Reeves moved closer with the same fluid motion, stopping at exactly the distance that would allow normal conversation while maintaining tactical advantage. "What I want is to prevent a catastrophe that you can't imagine. The technology that enhanced me represents the beginning of an arms race that will make nuclear weapons look like children's toys. I'm here to warn you about what's coming and offer you a chance to prepare for it." He gestured toward the mountains that surrounded them on all sides. "The shots I've made over the past months aren't random demonstrations. They're proof of concept tests showing you what enhanced soldiers can accomplish with current technology."
What I haven't shown you is what enhanced soldiers will be able to do with technology that's currently under development in facilities you don't know exist.
Vasquez found her voice despite the strangeness of the situation. "Dr. Reeves, the ballistic performance you've demonstrated exceeds anything in our technical manuals. How are you achieving accuracy at those ranges with conventional ammunition?" Reeves smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both humor and sadness. "Dr. Vasquez, I appreciate your work on ballistics theory. Your papers on extreme range accuracy were part of the research that made my modifications possible."
The ammunition isn't conventional, and neither is the rifle. Both incorporate technologies that your military contractors have developed but haven't yet implemented in production weapons.
He reached into his pack and withdrew a single cartridge that looked similar to standard .50 caliber ammunition but with subtle differences in the bullet design and casing material. This projectile contains microprocessors that calculate atmospheric conditions and make trajectory adjustments during flight.
The powder charge includes chemical compounds that maintain consistent burn rates despite altitude and temperature variations. The bullet itself is manufactured with materials that reduce air resistance beyond anything currently available to standard military units.
General Hawkins examined the ammunition with growing concern. If this technology existed in military research facilities, it meant that someone was developing capabilities far beyond what was disclosed to field commanders.
General Hawkins examined the ammunition.
More troubling was the implication that Reeves had access to classified military research through channels that intelligence agencies couldn't track.
"Dr. Reeves, where did you obtain this technology and how many other individuals have access to similar capabilities?" "General, that's the question that should terrify you. The technology came from research programs that exist in multiple countries funded by defense contractors who are developing human enhancement capabilities for the highest bidder."
I'm not the only enhanced individual. I'm just the only one who retained enough conscience to understand what we're becoming. He activated a device that looked like a modified tablet computer, displaying information that made everyone present feel their blood run cold.
The screen showed satellite imagery of locations around the world where similar enhancement programs were apparently operational. China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and several locations marked only with classified designations. Every major military power is developing enhanced soldiers. The difference is that most programs focus on creating individuals who are controllable and disposable. They're producing weapons, not people. I retained my humanity because the American program
was more concerned with psychological stability than absolute obedience. Colonel Morrison stepped forward, his military bearing intact despite the extraordinary circumstances. Reeves, what exactly are you proposing? Are you offering to share your technology with us, or are you asking for something else? Reeves deactivated the tablet and looked directly at each person present, with an intensity that suggested he was reading information beyond what normal humans could perceive. I'm offering to help you prepare for a war that's already begun. Enhanced soldiers from hostile nations are operating in conflict zones around the world. They're testing capabilities, gathering intelligence, and preparing for operations that will make conventional military doctrine obsolete. He pointed toward terrain features that were invisible to normal vision but apparently clear to his enhanced senses. Right now, there's a Chinese enhanced operative positioned approximately 4,200 meters from this location. He's been observing this meeting through optical equipment that can resolve details at distances that exceed your current surveillance capabilities. His orders are to eliminate me if I share specific technological information with American forces. Everyone present immediately felt the tactical situation shift from strange diplomatic meeting to potential combat zone. Vasquez found herself scanning the distant mountains for threats she couldn't possibly detect, while Colonel Morrison instinctively reached for his sidearm. Dr. Deep.
Reeves, are you saying that we're currently under hostile surveillance? Not currently, General. We've been under surveillance since you arrived in the region 3 weeks ago.
Enhanced operatives have been monitoring coalition forces throughout Afghanistan, gathering information about response capabilities and tactical procedures. The sniper attacks attributed to me were actually cover for intelligence gathering operations by multiple enhanced individuals from different nations.
The implications hit General Hawkins like a physical blow. If enhanced soldiers from hostile nations had been operating in the theater for weeks without detection, it meant that every coalition operation had been compromised.
More importantly, it suggested that the balance of power in asymmetric warfare had already shifted in ways that military planners hadn't recognized. Reeves continued with information that shattered their understanding of the current security situation.
The Chinese operative is part of a program called Project Dragon, which has produced 12 enhanced individuals with capabilities that exceed what I've demonstrated.
The Russian program, designated Apex Wolf, has created 8 enhanced operatives with specializations in cyber warfare and electronic intelligence gathering. North Korea's program has focused on creating enhanced individuals who can operate independently for extended periods without support or resupply.
He paused, allowing the information to sink in before delivering the most disturbing revelation. What makes this particularly dangerous is that each program has developed different enhancement technologies.
Chinese enhanced soldiers have cognitive processing capabilities that allow real-time analysis of complex tactical situations. Russian enhanced operatives can interface directly with electronic systems and manipulate them through direct neural connection.
North Korean enhanced individuals have physical modifications that allow them to survive in environments that would kill normal humans. Dr. Vasquez felt her scientific worldview crumbling as she processed implications that went beyond advanced marksmanship into the realm of science fiction made real.
Reeves, you're describing capabilities that sound like fantasy. How is this level of enhancement possible with current technology?
Dr. Vasquez, the technology exists because multiple nations have been developing it in secret for over a decade. The research builds on advances in genetic engineering, nanotechnology, neural interface systems, and pharmaceutical enhancement that haven't been disclosed to the scientific community. What I'm showing you isn't the cutting edge of these programs, it's just what one individual can accomplish with first-generation enhancement technology. General Hawkins realized that they were facing a strategic situation that went far beyond tactical considerations.
If hostile nations had gained a significant advantage in human enhancement technology, it could shift the balance of power in ways that traditional military planning couldn't address. Dr.
Reeves, what exactly are you asking us to do with this information? General, I'm asking you to authorize the development of defensive enhancement capabilities before you find yourself fighting a war against enemies who operate beyond the limits of normal human capability. I'm also asking you to consider the ethical implications of creating enhanced soldiers who retain their humanity rather than becoming weapons that can be turned against their own people.
He activated his tablet again, displaying technical specifications that showed enhancement procedures with success rates and risk assessments that painted a picture of technology that was advancing faster than oversight capabilities. The choice isn't whether enhancement technology will be deployed in warfare.
The choice is whether America will develop ethical enhancement capabilities or find itself defenseless against enhanced soldiers who have no moral constraints.
The wind across the plateau seemed to carry the weight of decisions that would affect the future of human warfare.
General Hawkins looked at the man who had officially died 5 years ago and realized that she was being asked to approve research that could change what it meant to be human. The alternative was facing enemies who had already made that choice for themselves.
6 months after the meeting on the plateau, Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in a laboratory that officially didn't exist, staring at test results that challenged everything she thought she knew about human limitations.
The facility was buried beneath the Nevada desert, hidden behind classifications that were beyond top secret, working on projects that would reshape the nature of human conflict.
The ballistic testing range extended for 12 kilometers underground, allowing researchers to test weapons and ammunition under controlled conditions that replicated every possible combat environment. What they had discovered during months of testing Dr.
Reeves' technology had both terrified and amazed the military leadership. General Hawkins entered the laboratory carrying classified reports from intelligence agencies around the world.
The documents painted a picture of enhanced soldier programs that were advancing faster than anyone had predicted.
Dr. Vasquez, what's our progress on replicating the enhanced ammunition? Vasquez gestured toward workstations where teams of engineers were analyzing projectiles that incorporated technology beyond anything in current production. We've successfully reverse-engineered the guidance systems and propellant chemistry. The projectiles maintain accuracy beyond 6,000 meters under optimal conditions, and we've achieved consistency rates that exceed 90% for shots at ranges that were impossible 6 months ago. The breakthrough hadn't come without cost.
3 test subjects had volunteered for enhancement procedures similar to those that had created Dr. Reeves.
2 had suffered psychological breaks that required immediate medical intervention. The third had achieved enhanced capabilities but lost aspects of personality and emotional response that made him functionally inhuman.
General, we're making progress with the technology, but we're facing ethical questions that don't have clear answers. The enhancement procedures that create the cognitive improvements necessary for extreme-range ballistics also seem to affect fundamental aspects of human consciousness. Our successful test subject can make shots that approach Dr. Reeves' demonstrated capabilities, but he's lost the ability to form emotional connections with other people.
Hawkins reviewed the psychological evaluations with growing concern. The enhanced individuals showed remarkable tactical abilities and could process complex ballistic calculations in real time, but psychological testing revealed someone who viewed other humans as tactical assets rather than people.
The enhancement process that improved cognitive function seemed to reduce empathy and emotional intelligence.
Dr. Vasquez, we need to understand what makes Dr. Reeves different.
He retained his humanity despite undergoing similar procedures. There has to be something in his psychological profile or enhancement protocol that prevented the emotional deterioration we're seeing in our test subjects.
The secure communication system activated with an incoming transmission from an undisclosed location.
Reeves's voice filled the laboratory with information that provided answers they had been seeking.
Dr. Vasquez, General Hawkins, I've been monitoring your research progress through channels you haven't detected. You're asking the right questions about enhancement procedures, but you're approaching them from the wrong direction.
Everyone in the laboratory stopped their work to listen to the transmission. Despite months of intelligence efforts, no one had been able to locate Dr. Reeves or determine how he was accessing classified communication systems, which his ability to monitor their research suggested capabilities that exceeded anything they had developed.
The enhancement procedures you're testing focus on improving specific capabilities without considering the integrated nature of human consciousness. My procedures were successful because they enhanced cognitive processing while maintaining the neural pathways responsible for emotional intelligence and moral reasoning.
Your test subjects are becoming more capable but less human because you're treating consciousness as a collection of separate functions rather than an integrated system.
Dr. Vasquez activated the recording equipment to capture technical details that could improve their research protocols. Dr.
Reeves, can you provide specific guidance on enhancement procedures that maintain psychological stability?
Dr. Vasquez, I can provide that information, but only in exchange for something that's more important than technical specifications.
I need you to understand what's happening in the world beyond your laboratory. The main display screen activated with satellite imagery that showed locations around the globe where enhanced soldiers were apparently operational. The images revealed combat zones where conventional military forces were being systematically defeated by individuals whose capabilities exceeded normal human limits. Enhanced operatives from multiple nations are testing their capabilities in real combat situations.
Syria, Ukraine, Myanmar, and Somalia have all become testing grounds for enhanced soldiers who are operating without oversight or moral constraints. The casualty rates among conventional forces are approaching levels that will make traditional military doctrine obsolete within 2 years.
General Hawkins felt her strategic worldview shifting as she processed implications that went far beyond tactical considerations. If enhanced soldiers were proving dramatically more effective than conventional forces, it meant that nations without enhancement capabilities would become militarily irrelevant.
Dr. Reeves, what are the estimated capabilities of the enhanced operatives currently deployed? General, the most advanced enhanced individuals can operate effectively at ranges exceeding 10 kilometers, maintain peak performance for extended periods without sleep or normal nutrition, and process tactical information at rates that allow them to outmaneuver entire conventional units. More importantly, they're being deployed in roles that go beyond combat operations.
The display screen showed intelligence reports about enhanced operatives conducting assassination missions, cyber warfare operations, and intelligence gathering activities that were reshaping geopolitical relationships. Enhanced individuals were apparently being used for missions that conventional special forces couldn't accomplish, creating new categories of warfare that existing military doctrine couldn't address. The Chinese enhanced operatives have successfully infiltrated and manipulated electronic systems controlling critical infrastructure in multiple countries. Russian enhanced soldiers have conducted assassination missions against political targets that were previously considered impossible to reach. North Korean enhanced individuals have gathered intelligence from facilities that were supposed to be impenetrable to human infiltration.
Dr.
Vasquez realized that they were facing a strategic situation that required immediate action. Dr. Reeves, what would you recommend as our response to these developments? Dr. Vasquez, you need to accelerate your enhancement program while maintaining the ethical constraints that will prevent your enhanced soldiers from becoming weapons that could be turned against your own people. You also need to understand that this technology will eventually become available to non-state actors and terrorist organizations.
The genie is already out of the bottle, and the question is whether you'll develop the capability to deal with enhanced threats before they become uncontrollable. The transmission included technical specifications for enhancement procedures that maintain psychological stability while improving physical and cognitive capabilities.
The protocols were more complex than anything the research team had developed, but they offered the possibility of creating enhanced individuals who retained their humanity while gaining capabilities necessary to counter hostile enhanced operatives. There's one more thing you need to know, Dr. Protoss. Reeves continued. The enhancement programs in hostile nations are preparing for a specific type of conflict.
They're not developing enhanced soldiers to fight conventional wars. They're creating individuals who can operate in scenarios where normal military forces would be ineffective. Climate change, urban warfare, and resource conflicts are creating environments where enhanced individuals will have overwhelming advantages over conventional forces.
General Hawkins understood that they were facing decisions that would affect the future of human warfare and possibly human evolution. The technology existed to create soldiers whose capabilities exceeded normal human limits. But the ethical implications of such enhancement raised questions about what it meant to remain human while gaining superhuman abilities.
Dr. Reeves, if we proceed with enhanced soldier development based on your protocols, what are the long-term implications for military service in human society? General, the implications are exactly what you fear. Enhanced soldiers will eventually make conventional forces obsolete, just as firearms made medieval knights irrelevant. The question is whether enhanced individuals will serve human interests or replace human authority entirely. The choices you make in the next few months will determine whether enhancement technology serves to protect human civilization or transform it into something unrecognizable. The laboratory fell silent as everyone present contemplated a future where warfare would be conducted by individuals whose capabilities exceeded normal human limits. The technology was advancing whether they participated or not, but their decisions would determine whether America would develop ethical enhancement capabilities or find itself defenseless against enhanced threats. Dr. Matt Vasquez looked at the test results showing successful replication of Dr. Reeves' ballistic technology and realized that they had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. The age of enhanced warfare had begun, and the decisions made in classified facilities like this one would determine whether enhanced soldiers would serve humanity or replace it. The 7.2-kilometer shot that had started everything was no longer just a demonstration of impossible marksmanship. It was the opening move in a conflict that would redefine what it meant to be human in an age where the line between man and machine was becoming increasingly blurred. In the end, the most extraordinary military achievement in modern history hadn't been buried to hide embarrassment or tactical failure.
It had been classified to conceal the beginning of a new era in human warfare, where the limits of human capability would be determined not by evolution but by the courage to enhance what evolution had provided. The future of warfare wouldn't be determined by technology alone, but by the wisdom to ensure that enhanced human capabilities remained in service to human values.
The man who had made the impossible shot had given them the tools to face that future. Whether they would use those tools wisely remained to be seen. The 7.2-kilometer shot that shattered every sniper record then disappeared from history.